Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 6 of the anime series, Shokugeki no Soma, ni no Sara, or the Second Plate, and this was all kinds of awesome sauce. Playing to certain of my speculations going into it, Soma seemingly brought out the improvisation, on the cooking floor in this Shokugeki matchup between he and Subaru. And, of course, it was kind of like a trick of Soma's to make that be the impression that he was just kind of, working on the fly. And I really highly thought that's probably what he was likeliest to do. But, of course, we see he's actually had some planning going into this, and it's a lifelong sort of quest to perfect a beef stew recipe. It's something he's been working on all his life, the majority of his life in any case. And he brought all of that, all of his years of trying and testing and doing all these things. And so it kind of rendered moot how stingy and sneaky and just downright evil Subaru was. Like I was calling into question the kid Mitsuru, whether or not his, getting all the information about what Soma was doing, all of the recipes he was testing and all the tasting and everything like that, if maybe he was working in tandem with Subaru, and we find out not at all. Subaru actually stole all of his, information. He basically knows the password of Mitsuru's computer and can get into his files. It was his birthday or something like that. And that's how Subaru got a lot of the, information going into this particular matchup. That was the lingering question I had. How did he know about Mito, bringing all the bag of meats and everything like that, and even going so far as to have revealed to, Soma, he knew that he went and saw the Aldinis, and he knew he went and got the meats and all this kind of stuff. So how did he know the majority of this stuff? And I guess there it is. The proof is in the pudding. He broke into Mitsuru's computer. He got the information that way. And, geez, just what an all-around bastard, as the one guy says, asshole, for what Subaru has done, the levels he's sunk to. And yet, I mean, Soma is such a kick-ass sort of protagonist. He's even trying to teach a lesson to Subaru by the end. Don't quit. Don't give up. Just because you walked into a wall, just because you made a mistake, just because you had a failure. And this is a lesson he's trying to cast forth for, Takumi as well. Because, of course, Takumi lost against Subaru previously. And he doesn't feel like he wants the Mezzaluna back. He wants Soma to hold on to it until he's ready to meet, Soma in a matchup again in the future. Similarly, does Takumi want to go up against Subaru again in the future? And they both mutually want to see Subaru continue in some way, shape, or form. And it was interesting how despicable they made Subaru out to be. And yet I still felt for him to a degree toward the end as we have the revelations of how he was, sort of mimicking his father's work. And his father was very much sort of just scathing toward him, like, you're just a copycat. You'll never be anything original in their own restaurant. And when there was a competition and the son took one of his father's, best known dishes and added his own little sort of flavor to it, well, all of a sudden the son wins and the father walks out on him. And I really felt for him in that, it kind of shaped the perverse nature, if you will, of who he would become. He would kind of follow a darker path because he knew he would be able to beat people by profiling them as closely as he has, as we've seen, what he's done with Soma and Takumi just in these last couple of episodes. But he's had to do this with 100 different people, all the people whose cutlery and everything like that were returned to them because of Soma's victory in the end. And it's such a transcending victory in that, because it's not just about beating Subaru and putting him in his place. It's about equally trying to open the eyes of Subaru and Takumi and all of the, aspiring chefs who had lost to Subaru, to let them know if this is their passion, if this is what they desire, no matter how frustrating it gets, you hold on to those dreams and you keep going, you don't give up. And Soma is he's just that much more of a badass to me, like, to bring that to the table once again. Soma's just handing down lessons to people not necessarily lesser than him, but his peers, his equals in a manner of speaking. And we do see, that Subaru, I mean, he knew about smoking the bacon, which was his secret ingredient in this framework, and he thought he had everything outlined that Soma might, his approach to it might be. And so he brought out the bacon and the way he treated it and smoked it and all this stuff. He was dedicated to that idea of every last minute detail in this particular beef stew dish, was covered. And lo and behold, here is Soma, and it is kind of like he is doing improv. But again, because he has that lifelong search that he's been on to find the greatest sort of balance in this beef stew dish of his, to utilize all these other meats, whereas Subaru only used the bacon for the garnish or garniture, you have Soma using a bunch of different meats, and oh my god, my mouth was watering. I'm like the type of person who, I like beef stew, but it has to be made a certain way, and I can't even tell you how much I was salivating at the idea of what it looked like Soma's dish amounted to, and how the judges were losing their sheen, over it and everything. Yukihi-land, I mean, oh my god, basically like a theme park that they're all on roller coaster rides and haunted, like house rides and all this stuff, because of all of the different flavors, and it takes you left, right, and all kinds of different directions, and you see Dojima like frolicking like a little girl, and they're all going to be friends, and they're holding hands by the end, and it was just all kinds of hilarious. And you got that one judge, I think her name was Taki, looks like a female Yato from Noragami, who's like boob punching the one other judge at one point to make her point that she has like no faith in Soma, and then like she eats her own words, And all of that was absolutely hilarious, seeing this theme park dream sequence and just how rocked they were by what Soma put together. And that's why I say again, I mean, there are times when they create dishes in this series. I know there is a cooking consultant that works behind the scenes all the way, going back to the first season, and I think even in tandem with the manga, that, helps put these recipes together, and they are actually legit recipes. I've seen channels recreating the dishes as the anime, puts them together. And so with this beef stew that Soma put together, by the end, it just seemed so mouth-watering. I could almost taste it, because a lot of the ingredients, a lot of the meats that went into it are stuff I like eating, by themselves. So to put them all together in this particular beef stew, damn if I don't want to try that. I want to try that out so bad. But yeah, Soma wins the day. And of course, the next episode, we're promised a, matchup in the second round of this autumn elections with Rio and Akira. And holy hell, I don't think it really, sunk into me last episode that they were the next two who were going up against each other. And that's all kinds of freaking exciting to me, because these are two guys that each of them I've wanted to see sort of, going up against Soma and such like that, because they're both intriguing characters. They both have these different individual things they're going to be bringing to the table. And it's going to be interesting to see them going up against each other in that framework and who's going to come out on top in the end. It's really kind of hard for me to call. I have no idea. But whatever the case, this episode was all kinds of awesome. And once again, Soma is my man. Just, again, handing down lessons to those who really need it. And by the end, the imparting words between he and Arina, one day I'm gonna get up to your level, and we're gonna have a face-off, and Arina's still, chip on her shoulder. But just remember, Soma, bring me that manga. I want the rest of the volumes. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 6 of Ni no Sara, if you've seen it as well, and if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you were on the edge of your seat as much as I was, and love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.